Hello there, friends and RC family. My name is Alec from High Noon Hobbies, and if you're new to this channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. I hope you will stick around, watch at least this video, see if this content seems worth your while, and consider subscribing, so that then I can say to you, if you aren't new here, welcome back to yet another Friday upload. We're back to the face cam. We're back in the studio of sorts, and it's very, very exciting to be back here. I was just doing a live stream with Mike from Sons of Crawl. It's actually the Monday right after that live stream that I'm recording this, and that was a awesome kind of welcome back to the studio, and I really, really enjoyed my time with all of you guys on the live stream. If you guys are not catching those live streams on Instagram, try to be better about putting it on Facebook, but on Instagram for sure, I always post a story. I always post a post the day before, or at least one a few days before, and then one the day before, and maybe one the day of if I can get around to it, reminding you guys over and over again, hey, the live stream's happening. This is when it's happening. Be there. Be square. If not, then it always shows up in the story. I put a link to the live. Once we go live, I put a link to it in the story so that you can click and go straight through on your phone and join us there. But just kind of plan on it being every other Sunday. So this Friday we've got this upload, and then next Sunday we'll be doing a live stream, and then really it's only going to move off of those Sundays if there's some big event. So like the Super Bowl, we'll probably move it to Monday or some other day, but generally speaking, we will be doing them Sundays. We won't be doing the high noon, at least for the time being. That 12 o'clock time, while it's very nice, unfortunately, Mike is working during the weekends, and I love having him there for the live stream, so I would rather be there with him and get to enjoy that with him and with you guys. So if you'll join us, make sure to check out the Facebook page, check out the Instagram page. We'll put all the information on there, and you can see those posts so that you know when they're coming up. But today we're going to be taking a look at a couple of runs from a very speedy contestant. I'm very excited to take a look at these runs. This is another throwback video. This is actually some unseen footage. We're going back to that same spot that we looked at 2 weeks ago, which was Taylor's rig, Taylor's run in his NWSD, his Northwest Scale Designs rig, out at Chimney Rock, which is near Little Moab, Utah, for the final qualifying round. So we're going to take a look at some of Zach, or Utah County Crawler's Class 2 runs in his Rock Pirates rig. And this guy, if you haven't watched him run before, is very entertaining. So let's just jump straight into it. All right, starting out with the same course that we watched Taylor run through in the previous upload, the previous Friday upload, and we're seeing already Zach just making quick time of this, although right here we're going to have a little bit of trouble coming through that gate number 2. And that is just kind of one of those things where you kind of have to take your time as you're coming through those descents, and you can see I'm like struggling to keep up with him as he's just totally speeding his way through this course. But you want to take your time as you're coming through those descents, just because you might have issues like that where wheel speed is a factor, but you want controlled wheel speed. I think that he went just a little bit too hard in there, came down a little bit too fast, and ended up on his lid. But luckily, just a fantastic driver, like I said, and he is making it work and getting through there, or getting through that issue without too much trouble. Ends up flipping it back over without taking any additional penalty points, making it through that first bonus, making it look like a piece of cake, which is landing him at a -10 with a minute as we're coming through. What is that? Gate number 3 or gate number 4? Just absolutely incredible. We've got the Mrs. B&B over there, Mrs. B&B RC, sitting and watching some of the beginning of the course, and now we're going to head into really one of the kind of just luck-based, in my humble opinion, right? Obviously not a great driver, so take that with a grain of salt, but I feel like that gate right there with the double descent where it's got a lip halfway through, that's just luck as to whether or not you get through there. And you can see that Zach just narrowly missed it, hit the rear end of his truck getting bounced up and almost tagging that gate, which I believe Taylor tagged that gate in the last run, which is kind of was one of the few errors that Taylor made that kind of dragged his score down, was tagging that gate. And again, can you really call it an error if it feels like it's almost luck on that one? But, you know, that's the way it's going to go. Speaking of luck, headed into gate number 6 here and starting to slide over to the side, just not taking his time, getting hung up on the belly and unfortunately tapping that gate number 6. eliminating that -10 that he got for that first bonus, but immediately, not letting it get to his, not letting it get into his head, or not letting it ruin his mental space. He's getting right back into it, and this is something that I really respect about Zach, is that he always keeps the fight on, and he always keeps it going at maximum effort and maximum speed, right? He knows that speed is the name of the game here. Obviously, penalty points are a big deal, and you want to make sure that you're not tapping gates when you can. You want to make sure that you're being meticulous enough that you can get through without taking any penalties, any unneeded or unnecessary penalties. But you also want to get through as fast as possible so that if anything unfortunate does happen, you have time to recover from it. Right there, perfect example, right? Speeding through that V-notch, but still taking the time, still making sure that he's getting through there cleanly, takes that reverse, makes sure that he sets himself up appropriately, and man, that was just an incredible reset in that V-notch. He makes his way through, he notices that he's getting a little off kilter, he's getting that front suspension unloading just a little bit, takes just a tiny reverse, little bit of steering input, just a tiny bit. This is something that I learned from West Desert Wheeler as I was down in Sand Hollow. Logan was gracious enough to kind of share some tips and tricks with me on V-notches when I was down there one of the first times. And one of the things he said is very, very small steering inputs, and that's so important when you're in those tough V-notches. Again, that second bonus right there, just incredible. Fantastic work by Zach making it through that second bonus, making it look like a piece of cake. Coming down the descent on 9 and into 10, those two last gates aren't particularly difficult, especially if you have a well-tuned rig. So finishing that out with a -8 and a 3:48.36, an incredible timestamp there. That's just showing the dominant skill of this driver, his ability to get through these courses incredibly quickly and still do it with precision. That -8 score, a very, very solid score coming out of that first course, and doing it in that time is just absolutely incredible. So let's head into his second run here out at Chimney Rock and see if it goes it well. Now, this course, I will preface by saying that this course, and I am a little bit late, and I have added a little bit of time because of it, but this course is absolutely brutal, and we're getting off to kind of a brutal start here. And now, again, this for a lot of drivers, you start out like this, you get knocked into a bush like this, and you're going to be in your own head. It's going to be tough. But for Zach, takes the reset. He tries to fight through it as much as he possibly can, but he takes that reset, mental reset as well, and he's back in the game. And let's see how he goes through the rest of the course. Now, there is something to be noted here that did add a decent amount of time trying to fight through that brush. And, was it worth it? Was it not to try to fight through that versus just taking the reverse outright? He had to take the reverse anyways. He ended up having to take the reverse anyways, that is. And, is it worth it to try to fight your way through that? That's going to be a tough call in the moment. Really one of those things that's you're only going to have a perfect opinion on it after the fact in retrospect. So we can sit here and do an armchair quarterback as much as we want, or, but it really comes down to the driver's decision, whether or not he thinks it's worth it to avoid that penalty point. I know on this particular course, it really was coming down to, points, time. It was a tight race between the top competitors, and so anything that Zach can try to do here to get an advantage, he's going to try to do. Now, unfortunately, taking just a little bit too wide of a turn there, took a couple unfortunate bounces. Again, that's one of those moments where maybe slowing down just a little bit, using a little bit less wheel speed, may have kept that turn a little bit tighter and could have avoided that reverse, but for time's sake, you're making those decisions. You're constantly making those calculations. Is it better to go through and to try to, through the leg shot, the classic High Noon Hobby through the leg shot? Hope you guys like that one. Ooh, and an absolutely lucky drop down on that one. Really cutting it close, but hey, using wheel speed to his advantage, using that overdrive to his advantage, getting himself positioned correctly, and how much of it was luck, how much of it was skill. So as I was saying, constantly making those calculations, trying to figure out, is it going to be better to try to use speed here? Is it going to be better to try to use precision here? Coming into this section, I think that Zach got a little bit surprised, and I even noticed in the raw audio here, he's like, what's going on? There used to be a brush there. And it's true. Unfortunately, he has to take a reposition and eliminate that -8 that he has, because he really doesn't have the time to screw around at this point. At least he, with the mentality that Zach has of trying to get through these courses quickly, he's not going to try to fight that. That could end up in a much worse position. Might as well take the repo and just get through there nice, quickly and easily. 10 points, not a big deal. Definitely can be made up with an additional bonus. But unfortunate, you know, he was saying in the raw audio there that there used to be a bush in that crack. And I think as he was coming through that gate, he just wasn't paying as close of attention as maybe he should have or could have, and didn't notice that bush was now gone, which he was planning to use as kind of a little bit of lift to get over that crevice, and then he just dropped straight into the crevice, which is super unfortunate. But once you get that nose end in there, you're kind of limited in terms of the options that you can take to get out, and so in that case, the repo, I think, was probably the best call. We're going to sit here and struggle. This was a tough spot in the course as well. I saw so many of the best drivers that I watched take a lot of repo or a lot of kind of resets on this, right? Reversing all the way back out. And this was a pretty common occurrence. You're slamming up against that wall and you're just getting so much pressure on that driver's side that it wants to push your ass end towards the passenger side. It's super unfortunate. You can see me there being a good teammate for Zach and giving him a little bit of a dusting off on those rocks, and with just a little bit less dust or a little bit less dirt on there. You know, this is not early in the day. He's not one of the first drivers. Many drivers have already tackled this course, and as more and more drivers hit a course, you're going to get dirtier and dirtier, especially in a situation like that or a circumstance like that where you've got a nasty very dirty, dusty area down below, and then it's headed into a nasty V-notch or a nasty approach of some sort, right? Where you're going to be struggling to get up it. Whenever that happens, every time that happens, pretty much without fail, you're going to see that tough ascent is going to get very dusty, and it's going to just make it more and more difficult. Beyond that, typically the lower portion of it ends up getting more dug out, which makes it an even more difficult ascent. So here we are now. We're approaching 5 minutes, and we're on our lid, but luckily, Zach keeping it calm, keeping it cool, and taking his time to flip that over off his lid without taking the rollover. Zach has incredibly good control over the truck in terms of getting it flipped back over just with the use of wheel speed and steering input, and that's quite impressive. A lot of drivers could learn a thing or two from that. Unfortunately, that extra time that he took there, meaning that he really shouldn't take the bonus, and so he's not going to take the bonus. He's going to skip it, and he's going to head into this next gate here and just try to get through as quickly as possible. He knows that these next few gates are pretty tough, and he wants to conserve as much time as possible. This one, this is a lot of kind of just finesse, getting your way through, seeing where that skid plate is going to want to sit. You see his droop. Not quite enough droop to pull his way through there super easily, but still makes it through without a problem at the end. He was almost concerned that he had tapped that gate, but upon my review, I didn't see him tap that gate. I think that he was in a pretty good spot. And just a reminder, these are 6-minute courses, so we're running out of time right now, and unfortunately through gate 9, but we're not going to make it through gate 10, having to take that DNF. And that just goes to show that it is a mixed bag for everyone, right? Even the best drivers. We watched that first run. We know how capable and how talented of a driver Zach is. He is an incredible driver. He can just slam through courses super quickly and super efficiently, but sometimes it just doesn't happen for you. And that second course that we watched is a killer. You know, a plus 19, getting that DNF at the end, that's actually a really good score for that course, because that course brutalized everyone who hit it. If you guys don't remember, that was the one that I absolutely destroyed my Rock Pirates rig on, and it was not a good turnout for me in the slightest. So definitely, you know, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, but it's definitely a mixed bag either way through. Zach did a fantastic job on both of those runs. I thought a couple of little errors on the second run just left him with not enough time to get through that last gate, but that was a common sight. Like I said, a lot of people really struggle to get through there, but you didn't struggle to get through this entire video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to High Noon Hobby. We've got all sorts of new merch coming. I'm very excited to share with you guys the patches that 100% of the proceeds from the patches are going to the different organizations this year. I've got some really good organizations lined up. We will be talking about that, launching that, kind of, you know, teasing launching that in the next video with some patch design lines and that type of stuff, and we'll be sending those patches in to get made very soon so that you guys can all start buying them and we can make as much money for those organizations as we possibly can by the end of the year. So I appreciate you all joining me for this one, and until the next time, I hope you enjoy some scale trails, maybe some hard lines, maybe some FPV drone, and maybe whatever else you enjoy doing, and love you long time. See you soon.